Hello everyone and welcome to the first big game of the semifinals that we are covering from the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam tournament in Las Vegas. It is Arjun versus Levon Aronian. Both of them have done wonders to reach this semifinal. Levon, even more so as he has defeated Magnus Carlsen in a match. He defeated Hikaru Nakamura in the quarterfinals, and now he faces Arjun. And Arjun knocked out in the quarterfinals none other than Nodirbek Abdusattorov. So both of them have done a lot, and now it's time to face each other. The other pairing is Fabiano Caruana versus Hans Niemann. We're going to discuss that as well and see what awaits us tomorrow. So let's check it out. Arjun with white opens with pawn to a4. And if you guys are wondering what the engine says, the engine says pawn to g4 can be played the best move, or you can go e3 followed by d4 or d3 followed by e4. So many moves are playable here. Arjun goes for pawn to a4, and it makes sense. There's a rook on a1, so of course you play it. We have pawn to d5. Levon goes for the central control, and now pawn to g4, preparing to advance the pawn in front of the other rook as well. And obviously, we are in a treat for a game. We have pawn to c6 by Levon, pawn to f4, and pawn to g6. And Arjun says, okay, let's go all out, pawn to e4. He's just pushing all the pawns, two squares, opening up the game completely. We have d captures on e4, bishop captures, and bishop to d7, putting pressure on the g4 pawn, and knight to e3, developing, also adding a defender, and preparing some future pawn to f5. We have knight to e6 by Levon, pawn to c3, and knight to a6. The knight will come to c5. Those b3 and d3 squares are a little bit weak, but so will white. White will come to a3, then perhaps to c4, and we'll see what happens then. You definitely can continue with knight a3. Then if knight a to c5, let's say, attacks the bishop, you can go bishop back to c2. Then you go knight c4. So it's definitely playable, but Arjun goes pawn to f5 right away. He is just going all out here, no reverse gear. Arjun, g captures, we have g captures, Levon trades the rooks on g1, captures, and knight e to c7. We have bishop to g3, pointing everything at that black king, and knight to e8. Levon has to remaneuver the knight, and you could go bishop to c2, simply get rid of the bishop on e4. It's undefended on e4, and you know that knight a to c5 is coming, or rather just knight to c5. So maybe, definitely a useful move where you just wait and see what Levon does and then try to adapt. But okay, Arjun goes forward, pawn to d4. Okay, knight to f6 by Levon, knight to f6, and knight to d2. And Levon just castles queenside. Okay, we have bishop back to d3. Bishop captures on a6 might not be a bad move, crippling black's pawn structure, and knight to c7. We have pawn to a5, preparing some pawn to a6 in the future, and queen to h6, putting the queen nicely on this diagonal. And again, a waiting move for Arjun could be something like king to c2, and then you continue this position. But Arjun goes for bishop captures on c7, which is an odd move, but at that level, of course, we are expected to see expecting to see odd moves simply because the players are very, very strong. King captures on c7 and queen g3 check. We have king back to c8 and knight d to c4. Okay, sorry, that's an e knight, knight d to c4. Controlling a lot of squares here and just, making its presence felt. Knight to d5 by Levon, offering a trade of knights, and king to b1. Finally unpinning here, so you don't have to worry about that. Queen to g7, offering a queen trade, and queen to f3. Arjun politely declines. We have queen to g1, king to a2, and Levon grabs the pawn on h2. Okay, Arjun says, I'm going to grab the pawn on d5, captures, and queen back to c7. We have queen captures on f7. So you could try something else, but it's hard to, for example, play pawn to a6, because once, let's say, pawn to b5 is played, a check is given, let's say queen b8, you trade queens, captures, knight to d2, and it's hard to commit to such an endgame where you already gave up one of your bishops, and Levon will have the bishop pair, he will have the passed h-pawn, even though the engine says this is perfectly fine and it's playable, and you know from experience that it should be playable. You just kind of fear the bishop pair on an open board, I imagine. So after queen to c7, Queen captures on f7, and now bishop to c6. Nicely consolidating. Also, the queen is now defending the e7. Sorry about that. The queen is now defending the e7 pawn, and knight back to e3. Again, a waiting for a move for Arjun could be something like king to b3, but he makes a crucial error. He plays knight to e3, and you have to be a player like Levon to be able to take advantage of an error like this, because something that I've mentioned in the previous video, Levon loves all of the variants of chess. He plays a lot of Backhouse, and he can just imagine stuff where there is no stuff, and I guess it helps him in any kind of chess. So what would you play here? There's a very nice move that black has. Arjun obviously missed it, so have at it while I give you a couple of seconds. The tricky move is bishop captures on d4. And the problem is you cannot capture that bishop. If you capture that bishop, then the problem is the undefended knight on e3. And you might be thinking, how is anything reaching that knight? Well, look at this. Queen captures on a5 check. King b1, queen to e1 with check. King to a2, queen captures on e3. And now the problem is the bishop is hanging, and also there's bishop d5 check, winning the white queen. And if you stop it with bishop c4, then you just grab another pawn, and black is just completely winning here. There's nothing that white can do. So that's why after bishop captures, queen to e6 check first by Arjun, bishop to d7, and queen back to e4. Levon repeats once, bishop to c6, queen to e6 check, bishop to d7, and queen to e4. But now Levon says, nope, I'm not repeating. I like my position. He goes bishop to f6. And even though Levon's been down on time for pretty much the better part of the game, now Arjun also dropped the 3 minutes, and it's becoming very, very interesting. We have knight d5 trying to eliminate one of the bishops, but queen captures on a5 with check, king to b1, and queen to c5. Nicely consolidating, getting the queen to a more central square, and Arjun just goes pawn to b4. He's not wasting any pawns, or rather, he's wasting them, but he's not wasting any moves. He's just going forward this game. We have queen to f2 and rook to a2, attacking the queen, queen to g1 check, king to c2, and again bishop back to c6. And the question is what to play here. Now, I imagine Arjun was still trying to win this game. He could go for knight captures on e7. It wasn't played, but just to give you an idea. Bishop captures, queen captures, and you have the passed c-pawn. You're going to have a nice game. There's not all that much that black can do here. If pawn to a6, let's say, you will go pawn to f6, and now the only way for white to hold this, or rather for black to hold this, is to go queen f2 check, and after king b3, bishop d5 check. And if c4, you give up the bishop, and after bishop captures, queen f3 check, and you will have some sort of a perpetual whatever white plays. If you go king to c2, just queen to d1 with check, king to c3, again you repeat queen f3 check, and that's it. King c2, queen d1, or any other variation, but will lead to a threefold repetition. But after bishop to c6, Arjun went queen to e6 with check. We have king to b8 and knight captures on f6. Still knight e7 is the better move. He went knight captures on f6, and now after e captures and queen captures, Levon is completely winning. But the question is, what did Arjun miss here? Again, you have to be able to see a lot and deeply. Obviously, Levon can do that, so have at it. While I give you a couple of seconds. Yes, obviously it's a queen move, but which queen move? And the one that we've discussed, queen to f2, will not be sufficient here. If you go queen to f2 with check, just king b3, and there's no follow-up. So the real move is queen to g2 check. And the point is you have to have access to d5. Now, if king to b3, you just play queen d5 check, and that's it. You're going to lose that bishop. Also, the king really has no good squares. If you move here, I mean, okay, you can still capture the bishop, but also the king has to guard the rook. So there's really nothing that white can do here. So after queen to g2 check, king to b1 was played, but now just queen to h1 with check, king to c2, and finally now you have the light squares, queen to d5, and he was in this position on move 39 that Arjun Erigaisi resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The bishop is hanging, the rook is hanging, and you're going to lose material regardless of what you play. You could maybe go for something like queen captures on d8, and claim, okay, maybe we can play this. We have a rook, we have a passed f-pawn. but it would be just too simple. Queen d5, for example, you attack the rook. Let's say pawn to c4, you go queen g2 check. King b3, you attack the queen and the bishop, but now this bishop is undefended. Queen h3, and if king c3 defending the bishop, now you go bishop e4. You threaten the bishop, and if rook to d2, you just capture on f5, and that's it. Whatever white plays, you're just going to trade everything. You can even give up the queen. It doesn't really matter because you have the passed h-pawn. You just start pushing it. If the king approaches, you just create a passed a-pawn. And that's it. The white king, of course, cannot stop both of the pawns, the a and h pawn. So yeah, Arjun was better for the most part of the game. He just couldn't connect. I mean, if you ask the engine, he was like +2, +2.5, +1.5, like most of the game, but actually converting that and saying where the treasure lies was easier said than done, obviously. And as soon as he gave Levon that one chance, Levon, with his incredible clairvoyance, was able to get the full point. So yeah, Levon just having an incredible event, and this is where he shines best. He doesn't have to prepare openings. He just arrives and he starts being creative, as he always is. And I mean, this is the chess that Levon is meant to play. He takes out Magnus, he takes out Hikaru. Now he defeated Arjun in game 1. We'll see if Arjun can bounce back in game 2. And will it go into tie breaks? If not, if Levon can manage a draw tomorrow, then he goes into the finals. And the clash between Hans Niemann and Fabiano Caruana ended in a draw, so it will be decided tomorrow. Very happy to see that. Not very happy to see the result, but I will be very happy to see what happens next, as the games are very, very interesting. I might show the game between Hans and Caruana. I don't know if you guys really want to see it. I can show it. We'll think about it tomorrow. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Brilliantly played by Levon. Everyone is happy when Levon is doing well. He's just a very nice guy, and he plays nice chess. What more could you ask for? I would like to thank Nick Lynn, Paul Hinamun, Ricardo Cordona Lopez, James White, and Robert Palande for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.